Is Disney genuinely promoting diversity or coldly capitalizing on one of the most contentious conflicts in modern history? Today, we're holding nerd court to discuss Marvel's first Israeli superhero, Sabra, as she makes her controversial live-action debut in Captain America: Brave New World. But here's the twist. She's no longer a Mossad agent defending her homeland. Nope, Sabra's been reimagined as, wait for it, a former Black Widow turned high-ranking US bureaucrat. Bold? Maybe. Out of pocket? Absolutely. On one side, she's hailed as a step forward for representation. On the other, critics see her as a blatant attempt to whitewash her origins while profiting off the heightened tensions in the Middle East. So, what's the real story behind this polarizing figure? Sabra's comic book origins date all the way back before the internet to the Incredible Hulk number 256. Introduced as a Mossad agent, she was a superhero defined by her unwavering loyalty to Israel. Her powers, super strength, speed, and bioenergy blast were impressive, but her identity was unmistakably tied to her national heritage. With her Star of David emblazoned costume, she was less of a nuanced character and more of a walking embodiment of Israeli patriotism. In today's climate, this backstory is impossible to ignore. Critics have slammed Marvel for attempting to shoehorn a character so entrenched in geopolitical controversy into their blockbuster franchise. Culture writer Tariq Raouf didn't mince words. She represents this idea of trying to fight for good and trying to fight terrorism, but the terrorism she's always fighting just happens to be Arabs and Muslims. For many, Sabra's inclusion isn't just tone-deaf, it's inflammatory. Supporters, however, view her inclusion differently. Israeli fans around the world have expressed excitement at seeing one of their own represented in the MCU. Sabra is a symbol of resilience and strength, one fan wrote. Seeing her on the big screen is empowering, especially in a franchise that's so globally recognized. Faced with mounting backlash, Marvel Studios painted themselves into a proverbial corner by trying to backpedal. So what happened to Sabra's Mossad origins? Gone. Instead, she's now a US government official. Because nothing says less controversial like slapping on a fresh coat of American bureaucracy. Now, Marvel insists this reimagining reflects modern sensibilities and promises a more nuanced take on the character. But let's be real, fans and critics alike aren't buying it. The rebrand has sparked fresh criticism from all sides. For some, it erases Sabra's cultural identity entirely, making her just another cog in the MCU machine. For others, it's a clumsy attempt to sidestep controversy without addressing the deeper issues tied to the character. As one observer put it, Marvel is trying to have it both ways, and in doing so, they've made Sabra even more of a question mark. The real question isn't just why Marvel brought Sabra into the MCU, it's why this move feels so controversial compared to other national superheroes. Marvel and DC have long leaned into characters who embody cultural pride. Black Panther became a cultural touchstone by celebrating African heritage while confronting colonialism. Captain America evolved from a wartime propaganda tool to a thoughtful critique of modern patriotism. Even Red Guardian, Marvel's Soviet foil as the Russian Rocky, managed to toe the line between satire and sincerity without objection. But Sabra isn't like these characters. Her ties to a real-world nation and one embroiled in an ongoing geopolitical crisis set her apart. Unlike Wakanda, a fictional utopia, Israel is a deeply polarizing subject. As journalist Asher Kaufman noted in Haaretz, Sabra is not just a superhero, she's a symbol tied to a conflict that resonates far beyond the pages of a comic book. Sabra's inclusion raises uncomfortable questions about the role of real-world national identities in superhero media. Should characters like Captain Britain or Shang-Chi be celebrated while Sabra is criticized? Or is it simply a matter of context, where some identities are inherently more controversial than others? Critics argue that Marvel can't afford to be careless here. Amal Awad summed it up best. The MCU is not equipped to handle the intricacies of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. Sabra's inclusion risks alienating audiences who see her as a symbol of one side in a contentious debate. Over the years, Sabra appeared sporadically in Marvel Comics. She worked alongside the X-Men and the Avengers, often as a representative of Israel's interest in international conflicts. But her character development never escaped the shadow of her origins. As comics historian Roy Thomas explained, Sabra's stories often struggled to balance her superhero persona with the real-world baggage of her national identity. The decision to bring Sabra into the MCU comes at a time when Marvel is increasingly focused on diversity. From Kamala Khan's Miss Marvel to Shang-Chi, the studio has shown a growing willingness to spotlight characters from underrepresented communities. But Sabra's case is unique because her identity isn't just cultural, it's political. This makes her one of Marvel's most challenging adaptations to date. As Captain America: Brave New World approaches its February 2025 release, Sabra's debut feels like a test of Marvel's ability to navigate sensitive topics. Will they deliver a story that honors the complexities of her character, or will they fly face first into the kind of PR disaster that no amount of CGI can fix? So, what do you think? Can Marvel rise to the occasion, or should Sabra's intro be cancelled entirely?